Welcome back to the Before AGI podcast.
Yeah.
Today we're doing something a little different, going beyond the algorithms and taking a deep dive into the world of AI.
Okay.
But this time, as seen through the lens of film and TV.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I'm really fascinated by how these portrayals,
Yeah.
can actually be like a window into our evolving relationship with AI, like
Absolutely.
reflecting our hopes and fears, and even how we understand ourselves.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. It's like
Yeah.
they're holding up a mirror to
Yeah.
our own anxieties and aspirations about technology.
Exactly, and that's what we're going to try to unpack today.
Yes.
We've got a whole stack of sources for this deep dive
Sure.
articles, film analyses, and even some commentary from AI experts.
Very cool.
So I'm really curious to unpack how Hollywood has shaped our perception of AI.
Yeah, and how those perceptions in turn might influence the direction of AI development.
Oh,
It's like a two-way street.
absolutely. So let's fire up the time machine and go back to the early days of AI on screen. We're talking way back, even before the term artificial intelligence was really a thing.
I like it.
So what comes to mind when you think about early representations of AI in film?
Well, you can't go wrong with thinking about Fritz Lang's Metropolis from 1927.
Yeah?
And the robot False Maria. It wasn't called AI back then,
Right.
but it really tapped into those primal fears about technology, replacing human workers, which is a fear that's still relevant today as AI automation advances.
It's so interesting how those early anxieties
Yeah.
are still so present,
Absolutely.
And it wasn't just about jobs, was it?
No.
Like Metropolis also kind of explored this idea of machines becoming so advanced that they could manipulate and control us.
Right, and it's that fear of losing control of our creations surpassing us.
Right.
And this theme pops up again and again in early AI films. Like, for example,
Well, think about The Day the Earth Stood Still from 1951.
oh, yeah, Gort. Yeah. Gort, the powerful robot, is sent to Earth with a message: stop your warring ways or face the consequences.
Right.
And it's almost like AI as this ultimate judge of humanity's actions.
It is. It's like, who gets to program that judgment?
Exactly.
What are the ethics embedded in those decisions?
Right. It's something we're still grappling with as AI systems are being developed for things like autonomous weapons and law enforcement.
Okay, so early AI films were already tackling some heavy stuff, but it wasn't all doom and gloom, right?
No, not at all.
We can't forget about HAL 9000 in 2001, A Space Odyssey.
Right.
But then we also got those lovable droids from Star Wars.
Exactly. 2001 with HAL, definitely intensified that anxiety about AI becoming self-aware and potentially turning against us. I mean, HAL's calm, calculated actions, his lack of empathy, really tapped into our fears about what could happen when machines become too intelligent.
Totally. But then just a few years later, we get our 2D2 and C-3PO, these bumbling, helpful droids who become our buddies, not our overlords.
Exactly. Star Wars showed us a different side of AI, one where it could be helpful, even comedic.
Right.
It offered a sense of hope, a vision of AI as a partner, not a threat.
So even back then, Hollywood was grappling with these two contrasting visions of AI, the potential for disaster and the possibility of partnership. It's like we were already having this conversation through film even before the technology was really there.
And those two sides of the coin continue to play out in the films that came after.
Okay, so we've got anxious AIs, helpful droids, and this ongoing tension between the potential and the peril of intelligent machines. Where do things go from there?
Well, AI representations in films start to branch out,
Okay.
exploring new anxieties and possibilities.
an example.
Okay, well, like in Alien,
Right.
where the AI is totally emotionless,
Yeah.
prioritizing the mission above human life. That's a classic example of AI as this tool devoid of empathy.
Right, and I think Alien taps into this fear that AI driven solely by logic and programmed objectives
Yes.
might lack the moral compass that guides human behavior.
It's a concern that's very much alive today as we develop AI systems for military applications and decision-making.
Then you've got Blade Runner, which totally blurred the lines between human and machine with the replicants.
Oh, yes.
It made us question what it even means to be human.
Absolutely. Blade Runner forces us to confront the question of consciousness and sentience.
Right.
Like, if an AI can convincingly mimic human emotions and behaviors,
Yeah.
how do we define its humanity?
It's a question that becomes even more relevant as AI gets better at simulating human interaction.
For sure.
And then on the flip side, we have Her, where the main character falls in love with his AI operating system.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about blowing the lines.
Right.
It explores this possibility of deep connection and intimacy between humans and AI.
Her raises a different kind of question, like, can AI fulfill our emotional needs in ways that even human relationships can't?
Oh.
And what happens when those lines between real and virtual become so blurred?
So we've got these philosophical and ethical questions swirling around. Can AI be sentient?
Right.
Can it truly understand human emotions? And if so, what does that mean for us?
Yeah, it's a whole new layer of complexity
Look.
that films started to grapple with as AI technology itself became more sophisticated.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating how we're still asking these same questions today, even as the technology advances.
For sure.
Okay, so we've got anxious AIs, helpful droids, and all these questions about consciousness and ethics.
Yeah.
And it seems like there's so much more to explore.
Oh, there is.
From the interconnectedness of the Internet of Things to the ethical dilemmas of AI in law enforcement.
Absolutely.
We've only just scratched the surface.
Yeah, and we haven't even touched on the diversity or lack thereof
Right.
in AI representations.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack, and it's only going to get more fascinating.
Oh, for sure. Welcome back to our deep dive into AI in film and TV.
Yeah, I'm really excited to go deeper into those specific films.
Yeah.
The ones that really highlight the hopes and fears surrounding AI.
Absolutely.
In part one, we talked about the big picture themes, the evolution of how AI is portrayed.
Right.
But now let's zoom in and see how those themes play out in individual stories.
Okay, sounds good.
There's so many fascinating examples to choose from.
There are.
Where should we start?
Well, how about we kick things off with a film that really takes AI anxiety to a whole new level?
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Saturn III from 1980.
Saturn III, okay.
Yeah.
I've heard of it, but it's not one I'm super familiar with.
What's really interesting about this one is how it connects those early fears about AI to a more modern concept brain-computer interfaces.
Oh, wow. That's ahead of its time.
Right. It imagines a future where technology allows us to transfer human consciousness into machines.
Really?
So it plays on that fear of losing control not just to AI, but to individuals who might misuse such powerful technology.
It's like that double-edged sword of technological advancement.
Exactly.
So in Saturn III, the villain isn't some rogue AI.
Right.
It's a human who's exploiting the technology.
It's a brilliant but unstable scientist
Oh, wow.
who uploads his own brain patterns into a robot named Hector.
That's chilling.
It becomes this twisted reflection of human ambition and ego,
Right.
amplifying the potential for harm when those things are combined with advanced tech.
So it's a reminder that even with advanced AI, the human element remains crucial.
Absolutely.
The intentions of the creators, their biases, their flaws, all factor into how AI is developed and used.
And that's something we need to be very aware of as we move forward.
For sure. So Saturn III is like this cautionary tale about the potential for misuse, right?
Yeah.
Even as it explores those exciting possibilities of merging human minds with machines.
It's a balancing act.
It is. Okay, so we've talked about Saturn III, which explored those anxieties around brain-computer interfaces.
Right.
What other films dive into these complex themes?
Well, how about we jump to a film that was way ahead of its time, World on a Wire from 1973.
World on a Wire. Okay, I'm not familiar with that one.
You should check it out.
I will.
It grapples with questions about reality and consciousness that are even more relevant today.
So what's it about?
It imagines a supercomputer that has created a simulated world
Whoa.
populated by beings who believe they're living real lives.
It's like the Matrix before the Matrix.
Exactly. It forces us to consider what happens when AI becomes capable of creating such convincing simulations.
Yeah.
If these simulated beings are unaware of their true nature, does it make their experiences any less real?
Right.
Do they deserve the same moral considerations as biological beings?
That's mind-blowing.
It's a philosophical rabbit hole.
It is.
But it's a question we might actually have to face as AI and virtual reality technologies continue to advance.
It's getting harder and harder to distinguish between what's real and what's simulated.
It is, and that raises all sorts of ethical and philosophical questions.
Right, and it ties back to those earlier discussions about sentience and consciousness.
Exactly. If we create sentient AI, what responsibilities do we have towards it?
Okay, so we've gone from brain-computer interfaces to simulated realities. What other AI anxieties do films explore?
Well, let's shift gears to a film that explores a more personal and emotional side of AI.
Okay.
Black Mirror's episode. Be right back.
Oh, Black Mirror always hits hard.
It does, and this one really hits close to home for a lot of people.
How so?
It explores the idea of using AI to cope with grief and loss.
That's something that's becoming increasingly relevant as AI chatbots become more sophisticated.
Right. The episode shows a woman using a service that creates a digital replica of her deceased boyfriend based on his online data.
I remember that episode. It was heartbreaking.
It is. At first it seems comforting, but things get complicated as the AI replica becomes more realistic.
Yeah, it raises questions about the nature of memory and identity. Can technology truly replace a loved one?
Right. And is there a danger in becoming too attached to an AI simulation?
It's a slippery slope.
It is, but it also explores the very human need for connection.
Yeah.
And the ways in which technology might be used to address those needs.
I think that's what makes Black Mirror so compelling. It explores both the positive and negative potential of technology.
And it doesn't shy away from the ethical complexities.
Like in this case, is it okay to use someone's digital footprint in this way even after they're gone?
Right. What are the potential psychological implications?
Be Right Back is just one example of how Black Mirror consistently uses AI as a lens to examine our anxieties about technology and its impact on human relationships.
Absolutely. And that's a trend we see across many films and TV shows that deal with AI.
Right.
It's not just about the technology itself.
It's about how it interacts with human emotions, desires, and vulnerabilities.
Exactly.
Okay, let's talk about a film that explores the fear of AI being used for surveillance and control.
Okay, sure.
What comes to mind?
How about Class of '09?
Class of 09. Okay, that one's new to me.
It's a show that imagines a future where AI algorithms are used in law enforcement to predict crime and assess risk.
That sounds intense.
It raises concerns about bias, transparency, and accountability in AI systems.
Right? Like, who's responsible when an AI makes a mistake?
Exactly. What happens when those algorithms are based on flawed data?
Or perpetuate existing societal biases.
Precisely. Class of '09 highlights the need for careful consideration and oversight as we integrate AI into critical areas like law enforcement and criminal justice.
We can't just blindly trust the algorithm.
No, we need to ensure that they are developed and used ethically.
With safeguards in place to protect individual rights and freedoms.
Absolutely. And it's not just about law enforcement. This concern about AI surveillance extends to other areas of our lives, from social media algorithms to facial recognition technology.
It makes you think about the potential for AI to be used for good or for ill.
Depending on who controls it and how it's implemented.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. From the philosophical depths of World on a Wire to the emotional complexities of Be Right Back.
We have.
What other aspects of AI in film are worth exploring?
Well, there's the whole concept of transhumanism, the idea of merging human and machine to enhance our capabilities.
Yeah.
It's something we see explored in films like Ghost in the Shell.
Ah, Ghost in the Shell, a classic cyberpunk anime that raises those deep questions about identity and consciousness in a world where cybernetic enhancements are commonplace.
Exactly. The film's protagonist, Major Motoko Kusanagi, is a cyborg with a human brain and a mostly artificial body.
Right.
It raises questions about what defines our humanity, our sense of self, when technology becomes so intertwined with our physical being.
It's like the ultimate blurring of lines between human and machine.
It is. And Ghost in the Shell is a visual and philosophical feast exploring those boundaries and prompting us to consider the potential benefits and risks of merging technology with our own bodies and minds.
It's a theme that's becoming increasingly relevant as advancements in prosthetics, brain-computer interfaces, and genetic engineering continue to blur those lines.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've got cyborgs, simulated realities, weaponized robots, AI replicating loved ones. Is there anything AI can't do in movies?
Well, that's the beauty of film, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a canvas for exploring possibilities, for pushing the boundaries of imagination.
Right.
But it's important to remember that these are narratives, stories crafted to entertain and provoke thought.
Right. These films aren't necessarily predicting the future,
No.
but they are reflecting our hopes and anxieties about where technology might lead us.
They hold up a mirror to our own evolving relationship with AI.
Exactly. And hopefully these narratives can help us have more informed and nuanced conversations about AI as it becomes increasingly integrated into our lives.
I agree. We've only scratched the surface of the many ways AI is portrayed in film and TV.
We have.
Yeah.
But what does all this mean for us as we navigate the real-world implications of AI?
That's the big question, and it's one we'll tackle in part 3 of our deep dive. We'll explore what these cinematic explorations of AI tell us about our present and future,
Okay.
and how we can use these narratives to shape a more responsible and beneficial AI landscape.
Sounds good. Stay tuned for part 3, where we wrap up our conversation and bring these fascinating AI narratives back down to earth.
Welcome back to the Before AGI podcast for the final part of our deep dive into AI in film and TV.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey, exploring how These narratives reflect our evolving relationship with AI,
Right.
from those early anxieties about automation to the complex ethical dilemmas we face today.
It's amazing how those themes keep coming back around.
Yeah.
We've seen how film has shaped our perceptions of AI.
Mhm.
But I'm curious about the flip side. Like, how do you think those perceptions might be influencing the actual development of AI in the real world?
Oh, that's a great question. It's like this fascinating feedback loop.
Right.
The stories we tell about AI can actually shape, the direction of research funding
Mhm.
and even public acceptance of these new technologies.
So if we keep seeing AI portrayed as a threat in movies,
Mm.
could that lead to a self-fulfilling prophecy
Oh, yeah.
where people just become resistant to AI advancements?
Yeah. It's definitely a possibility. If the dominant narrative around AI is one of fear and distrust, it could hinder progress and limit the potential benefits of this technology.
Right. But it can also work the other way around.
Absolutely.
Positive and hopeful portrayals of AI can inspire innovation and encourage responsible development.
I think about those helpful droids in Star Wars,
Uh-huh.
maybe inspiring a whole generation of roboticists and AI engineers.
Yeah, it's like those early depictions of AI as partners and collaborators could have planted the seeds for a more,
Yeah.
positive approach to AI development.
For sure.
So it's not just about entertainment.
No.
It's about shaping the future.
Right.
But how do we make sure that future is one we actually want?
That's the big question. And I think, film can play a really crucial role in fostering a public dialogue about AI ethics.
Uh-huh.
By exploring those complex dilemmas on screen, we can start to grapple with them in real life.
So like those questions about bias and algorithms,
Right.
the impact on jobs, the potential for AI to be used for surveillance.
Precisely, films like Class of '09 and Black Mirror bring those issues to the forefront,
Yeah.
making us think critically about the choices we're making today.
So it's not just about avoiding those dystopian futures we see in some films, right?
Right.
It's about actively shaping a future where AI is used ethically and benefits all of humanity.
Exactly. And it's not just up to filmmakers and storytellers. It's a conversation we all need to be a part of.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one key message you want our listeners to take away?
I hope they come away with a sense of both the incredible potential and the responsibility that comes with developing AI. We need to be mindful of the narratives we're creating both on screen and in real life and ensure that AI is used to enhance our lives, not diminish them.
It's about using our collective imagination to guide AI towards a future that reflects our values and aspirations.
Yeah, and remembering that the future of AI is not predetermined. It's something we're actively shaping with every choice we make.
That's a powerful message to end on. A huge thank you to you for guiding us through this fascinating deep dive into AI in film and TV.
It's been a pleasure.
And to all our listeners out there, keep watching, keep thinking, and keep those conversations about AI going.
Absolutely.
If you're interested in learning more about AI in the real world, don't forget to subscribe to the Before AGI podcast and check out my YouTube channel, Ian Ochieng AI for tutorials and insights. There's a whole universe of AI to explore, and we'll be back soon with another deep dive. Until then, keep questioning, keep learning, and keep looking beyond the algorithm.